Hi guys, welcome to Dr. Ram's Medical Coding Academy. Today we are going to see about the appendicular section of the skeletal system. Please see our prior video on the axial skeleton where we have talked about the number of bones, the parts and all that. And today we are going to discuss about this appendicular skeletal system. When we say something as appendage or appendix, which means it comes from the word like append, in the sense like which is being added. It's being added on to something else. Here the appendicular system is being added on to the axial skeleton. So it's like the extra fittings. So that's what we mean by the something as appendix or appendage. So this section of bones or group of bones are being added onto the axial skeleton. We all know that there are 206 bones in the adult male, of which 80 bones constitute the axial skeleton and the remaining 126 forms the appendicular system. You can also see the picture here where we have this axial and the appendicular skeletal system, and let's see that the parts that constitute the appendicular system. This is going to be pretty easy. We have the two upper extremities, the right and the left, and we have the two lower extremities, the right and the left. We call this as the right upper extremity, left upper extremity, right lower extremity and left lower extremity. Let's see, in addition to this, we also have something called as a girdles. When we say as a girdle, it forms a circle. There are two circles. So one is in the upper part of the body, which we call it as a pectoral girdle or the shoulder girdle. And the other girdle is we call it as a pelvic girdle. If you count the bones in each of these regions, so that would constitute the entire appendicular bones. Let's move on to the upper extremity. There are 30 bones in each of the extremity, especially in the right upper extremity, and we also have the 30 in the left upper extremity. So in total we have 60 bones in each of these extremities. Now let's count. We have this humerus which forms the bone of the arm, and then we have the forearm which has two bones, the radius and the ulna. Coming to the wrist region, we have the carpal bones. We all know the carpal bones are 8 in number. We call it as the scapha, lunate, triquetral, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. After this carpal comes this metacarpal, where we have this 5 bones, and we have like 5 fingers, and each of these fingers are made up of 3 phalanges. 5 into 3 becomes 15, but this thumb is short of 1 bone. So the number of phalanges in each extremity, we have like 14 phalanges. So if you multiply on the other side into times 2, we get like 28 phalanges. So when you sum up the bones on the right upper extremity and the left upper extremity, we are having like 60 bones. Let's move on to the lower extremity. Here we have femur, which is called as a thigh bone, and this is the strongest and the largest bone of the human body. This question you can be asked, even for NEET exams, you can be asked, name the bone which is the strongest or which is the longest in the human body. We have this thigh bone, and beneath the thigh, we have this knee joint. So beneath that knee joint, we have the two bones called as the tibia and the fibula. Tibia is an outer bone. Tibia is a medial bone and fibula is a lateral bone. Beneath that we have these ankle bones, and we call it as the tarsal bones. Coming to the tarsal bones, you can remember this way as TNCC C cube. T for talus, N for navicular, C for calcaneum, C for cuboid, and C cube here it refers to the cuneiform bones. We have the medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform and the lateral cuneiform. After we see these metatarsals, after these tarsal bones, we have the metatarsals. These are also 5 in number. And we also have the bones called as phalanges in the toe. Just as in fingers, we have the phalanges. The bones of the foot, especially of the toes, also we call it as phalanges. So you need to be careful where the procedure is being done, whether it is on the phalanges of the hand or in the phalanges of the foot. So when you multiply, you see like we have 30 bones in each of these extremities, and in total we have 60 bones for the lower extremities. Coming to the shoulder girdle, we have two bones. So one is a bone which lies horizontal, and that we call it as a collarbone or the clavicle. And we also have a bone on the back which forms the blade. We call it as a shoulder blade, and we call that as a scapula. Since we have these bones on each side, these are like 2, so we have 4 bones that form the shoulder girdle. Now coming to the pelvic girdle, we all know this pelvic girdle, it is a circle that is being complete posteriorly by the sacrum and the coccyx. That is a continuation of the vertebral column. So we have posteriorly on the back side, we have the sacrum and the coccyx, and that is being surrounded by the hip bones. We have 2 hip bones, and we call them as coxa or the innominate bones. We can also further divide the hip bone into 3 parts as ilium, ischium, pubis. Ilium, ischium, pubis. You should understand the ilium in this hip bone is actually spelled this way as ILIUM, whereas we also have the ilium of the small intestine, which is ILEUM. So you should be careful. For you to remember, I can very well tell you hip, HIP. So this contains the alphabet I. You can remember this way. So the bone ilium, ILIUM, is actually a bone of the hip region, whereas ILEUM is a bone of the entero. The small intestine is called as entero. So ilium is the terminal portion of the small intestine, whereas ILIUM, ilium, is a part of the hip bone. Finally, ilium, ischium, pubis forms the hip bones, and these are also 2 in number. To sum it up, we have 206 bones in total, of which 80 belongs to the axial and 126 belongs to the appendicular system. Now we have got like 60 upper extremities, 60 lower extremities, which forms 120 bones, and we have 6 more bones left out. We have 2 scapula, 2 collar bones, which is a clavicle, which forms a shoulder girdle, and 2 bones of the hip region, which forms a pelvic girdle. Let's see a coding scenario where we are going to apply this skeletal system, and I've given you a procedure. Let's go and read that. Vanitha has sustained a right humeral shaft fracture for which the orthopedist performed ORIF in the emergency department. Please read the question. Vanitha has sustained a fracture. This fracture is in the shaft. We all know a bone has various parts like epiphysis, metaphysis, diaphysis. The diaphysis is called as a shaft. And this fracture is taking place in the right humerus. Humerus is a bone of the arm, and moreover the laterality is also known as a right side. So the procedure is being done on the bone, and we need to select the code from the musculoskeletal chapter of the CPT coding book. When we go and select the code from the CPT section, I arrive at the code 24515 with the modifier RT to show that the procedure is being done on the right side. And for the diagnosis, the code that you have selected is S42.301A, which shows that the person has sustained an injury on the humeral shaft. Since they have not specified the type of fracture, we need to take it as closed and displaced fracture. If you have read the fracture guidelines, you would have known when the doctor does not document the type of fracture is open or non-displaced, you need to select the code as closed and displaced fracture. I hope this session would have been useful to you. We will see you in the next session. Until then, take care.
You can contact us at 805 60 855 969962 791072.